It takes place after every new moon, and it takes place on the first when the Shabbat is over. We go right into it. All right. Um, but if our monthly fast, right? If the new moon falls on like let's say it falls on the fifth day of the week, which is well, let's say the sixth day of the week, so-called Thursday night to Friday night. We have a new moon. Then from there we go right into Shabbat. We would delay it until that next week. Okay. So, but if it falls on like the fourth day of the week, right? Fourth day of the week, which would be Wednesday night to Thursday night, then we would, still be able to go into the Thursday to Friday and Friday to Saturday, then Saturday night to Sunday night we go into that fast. And it's just a basic fast for unity, for mercy from Yahweh for our families and things of that nature. However, right now, I want to go into some of the information about Tisha B'Av, all right? Tisha B'Av, which is the holy day. It's not really a holy day. It's more like a Yom Tov, like a good day, a day that's very pleasant. So, what do we do about it? First, let's go into some of the history about it real quick. We're not going to be long again tonight, all right? Let's go into 2 Kings chapter, let's go into 2 Kings chapter 25. All right, let's go into 2 Kings chapter 25. All right, if I can get a reader, 2 Kings 25. We can start at verse 8, 2 Kings 25, verse 8. And if somebody's going to read, they may want to, maybe come a little closer over here. And, we can get you set up right there for sitting or standing or whatever. Once you finish, if it's taking too long to read again. All right. All right, so let's read 2 Kings chapter 25. Let's start with verse 8, please.
2 Kings chapter 25, verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
And in the fifth month.
The fifth month, which is also called Av, all right, which is Aleph and Bet in the Hebrew. All right, go ahead.
On the seventh day of the month.
Mm-hmm. On the seventh day of the month, so the seventh of the month. Go ahead.
Which is the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar.
So Nebuchadnezzar had been on his throne at this point for 17 years. Korah.
King of Babylon, came Nebuchadnezzar, came Nebuzaradan, king, captain of the guard, a servant of the king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem.
So this is the day that this guy who's working for Nebuchadnezzar, all right, his name is Nebuzaradan, all right, his name is Nebuzaradan, all right, Nebuzaradan. So he approached Jerusalem on the seventh day of the month. Go ahead.
And he burnt the house of Yahweh.
So it says he burnt the house of Yahweh, meaning he burnt the temple. But he didn't just come in on the same day and say, hey, let's burn the temple. They had to get their camp set up. They had to survey the city. He had to get reports from his scouts. All right. Now, and this is approximately 586. This is the beginning of our Babylonian captivity. Okay, this is the beginning of when we first went in Israel. That were left there were regular people. All of the scholars and all of the nobles and all of the people that were the operational structure, the operational guardians, the operational administrators of the society, those are the ones that went into captivity. Those are the ones that were taken into Babylon. Every single individual was not taken into Babylon. The ancient kings had a habit of transplanting people. They would take you from your place and they would put you someplace else. And if you were there just to tend the land, they would let you stay there. And then they take away all of the nobles, all of the aristocrats. All right, go ahead. So he burnt the house of Yahweh. Go ahead.
and all the houses of Jerusalem,
So he burnt the house of Yahweh and the king's house and all of the houses of Jerusalem. Go ahead.
and every great man's house burnt he with fire.
So all the nobles, King Nebuchadnezzar, put them out of power. And of course, the captain of the guard, Nebuzaradan, okay, he's taking orders from the king. All right, go ahead.
And all the army of the Chaldees,
So in 2 Kings, chapter 25, verse 10, it talks about the armies of the Chaldees. Now the Chaldees, people say, well, it's a special term, but this was just a generic. This was a term that was applied to the Babylonians. All right, go ahead.
that were with the captain of the guard, break down the walls of Jerusalem round about.
All right, now this didn't take place in one day. So they broke down the walls of Jerusalem. This is the same thing that Yahweh did against the Hamites, the Canaanites, when he conquered the Canaanites. He broke down the walls of Jericho. So now we have Joshua fought the battle of Jericho and the walls came tumbling down. Here we have Nebuzaradan fought the battle of Jerusalem and the walls came tumbling down. But there's no song about it glorifying it because now we were the victims. But you can read about the account that Jeremiah wrote in the book of Lamentations. And we're not going to review that today. I do have a playlist that I put together that has some Hebrew, a little bit of English, and some Aramaic songs and readings about the day when Jerusalem was 5 in the book of Lamentations. And each of those chapters has 22 verses. In the Hebrew, we have 22 letters. So each of the 22 verses begins with a different Hebrew letter. Does that make sense? Each verse begins with a different Hebrew letter. You have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Wawa, okay? Zayin, set up in each of the verses in alphabetical order. Kind of like A is for apple. A is for apple that I pick from the tree. B is for the branch that bears the apple. C is for the chair that I sit at the table when I eat my fruit. D is for the dish that has my apple inside of it. E is for the excellent flavor of my apple. F is for the food that I'm grateful for, that the Creator Yahweh allows me to have in my belly. And G is for the great job that was done by my family in our apple orchard this year. So that's how Lamentations is written, in case you didn't know. All right? All right, so this, he broke down the walls of Jerusalem. Go ahead. And again, what year is this? This is 586. All right, go ahead. 586 before Hamashiach, or as they say, BCE, before the common era, or BC, before Christ, before Hamashiach. Read.
And all the army of the Chaldees that are with the captain of the guard break down the walls of Jerusalem.
So they broke down the walls of Jerusalem.
Round about. Now the rest of the people that were left in the city and their fugitives that fell away to the king of Babylon.
Who are the rest of the people? Who are the rest of the people? Those that weren't the noble people, those that didn't have the big houses, those who were not the upper class, as you could call them. All right, go ahead.
With the remnant of the multitude.
So the fugitives, all right, they're fugitive of the people, those that had fallen away. Right now, we read about fugitives a lot. We read about fugitives with King David, the people that owed a lot of money, the people that were on their way to debtor's jail, the people that couldn't pay off their bills. All right, and the people just kind of outcasts of society. They went to King David when he was caves of it. So this is something that's very that's very normal in society. Okay, go ahead.
Did Nebuzaradan, the king of the guard, carry away?
All right, so they fell away to the king. They said, "Man, we're going with you." Now, what you have to understand is that the Babylonian captivity. What was the very strange advice that Yahweh gave to Jeremiah? Let's not say strange, but advice that you may think is strange or unusual to be given to people that are in captivity. What was the advice? Who knows? Somebody may know in the comment section. Anybody know? Just write it out. You know it? Write it out. Anybody know? And this just kind of shows you the mindset of the Most High. All right? And the mindset of the people. Anybody? Hold that real quick, and let's go into hold that. Go to Jeremiah chapter 29, please. Jeremiah chapter 29, and let's start reading at verse 4.
Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 4. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts.
So Yahweh of hosts is talking. Remember, Yahweh of hosts means multitude or army. Zabot or Zabaoth, Yahweh of hosts. Right, so Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 4. Go ahead.
The Elohai of Yasharahla unto all that he carried away captive.
So he's talking to who? Who's he talking to? Who's he talking to?
Yasharahla.
Which ones?
The ones that were put into captivity.
Yeah, he's talking to the Israelites that were taken away in captivity. So he has a special message for them. Let's see what this special message is. Go ahead.
Whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem.
Whom I cause. All right. Shall evil be done in the city and Yahweh does not know about it or okay it to be done? Go ahead.
Build ye houses.
He said what?
Build ye houses.
So in captivity, he told the Israelites to build houses. Go ahead.
And dwell in them.
Build houses and dwell in those houses. Go ahead.
And plant gardens.
Do what?
Plant gardens.
So he said plant gardens in your slavery, in your captivity, your exile. Plant gardens. Plant cucumbers and leeks. All right? Plant bok choy. Plant cabbage and spinach and the purple carrots that originate in Iraq and Iran area anyway. Purple carrots. That's where they come from. Oh, go ahead.
And eat the fruit of them.
He said, eat, get your land, get your food, and eat it. So, of course, in eating, what do we have? And I had a conversation about this recently. When we had this food, what do we have? What do we do? We preserved it. We preserved the cucumbers in the form of pickles. We preserved the cabbage. We probably put it in water, and then we would boil it, and it would stay. It wouldn't deteriorate usually. And we had meat. You can store meat in jars also. You could smoke it. You can put it in clay vessels. All right. You can seal those. You can seal those vessels if you seal it on the inside. You can seal it with what? You can seal it with corn. You boil the corn, and the starch for the corn fills in the pores of those glass vessels. There's many ways to do it. All right. But we, in our lifetime, we become so accustomed to the brilliance of the multitude of Israelite inventors that have made our lives so much more convenient with refrigeration, with air conditioning, with fans, with lights and electricity coming in to your house, right? In ancient times, we didn't have a lot of these things, but we had innovative ways to keep our food warm. You can keep food from spoiling 3 days in the shade with no electricity. But there's a way you have to do it. You have to construct something, and there's things you have to do to it to keep the food cool. And it's very easy, very simple, very basic. Okay? Everybody understand that? It's easy things to do. All right? So food can be preserved easily. All right? Now, the actual initiative to go out and do it and make it, that's going to be a different story. You can do it just with regular charcoal, or you can do it just with sand. All right? Sand and clay vessels. All right? A wooden box open on the sides, just a frame with screens, and the screens have carbon on them, or a carbon, not carbon, but carbon, what is it? Charcoal in between the walls, or without the, so there's different ways. So we knew how to preserve our food in these ancient times. So Yahweh is telling the people, build a house, plant garden. All right. Banya Yasharahla Shalom. All right, go ahead.
Take ye wives.
Take you wives. Now, some of the brothers may have wives. Some of the brothers may not have had wives. So he's saying, get wives. Go ahead.
And beget sons and daughters.
Have children. So he said, have children in this captivity, which is very contrasting advice that Paul gives us in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Remember, in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, Paul says, well, it's not really good for people to go ahead and get married now because, you know, these times that we're living in are very hard times. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7 and 26, I suppose, therefore, that this is good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man so to be. Art thou bound to a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loose from a wife? Seek not a wife. So what is he saying? He's saying that the social conditions and the economic conditions at that time were so bad that he's advising people not to get married, as opposed to the conditions in Babylon. Yahweh is saying, go ahead and get married. Now remember, this is like 600 years later. Paul is writing over 600 years after the Babylonian captivity, over 600 years later. And now things have gotten worse for our people in the diaspora as well as in the land of Israel. Okay? But in Babylon in 586, Yahweh is saying, have children, get married, build houses, all right? Plant gardens, dig in the dirt, all right? Arrested development, right? Go ahead.
And take wives for your sons.
Take wives for your sons. So he said, not only you, which is a very curious set of mandates. First he says, take wives and have children. Then he says, take wives for your sons. And give your daughters to husbands. Oh, I'm sorry, you read that yourself. Go ahead.
And give your daughters to husbands.
And give your daughters to husbands. Go ahead.
That they may bear sons and daughters.
That they can continue the generations. Go ahead.
That ye may be increased there.
That we will be increased in captivity. Go ahead.
And not diminished.
And he didn't want the people to diminish. So he's telling them, get married, have children in captivity. Now what happens, as oftentimes you get in captivity and there's a shortage of women in the land. And this was very likely in Babylon also. But they continue to have the Israelite community flourishing. As a matter of fact, Babylon, as time went on, ended up being one of the greatest centers of Israelite intellectual advancement in the ancient and medieval world. Specifically focused on a place called Sura, S-U-R-A. All right, S-U-R-A. Very important place. You can look it up. All right, go ahead.
And seek the peace of the city.
So he said, why is he saying seek the peace of the city? Because if something happens to that city, something's going to happen to you. If that city gets invaded, you're going to get invaded also. If that city gets stormed, you're going to get stormed also. If that city is burnt down, most likely you will be burnt down too. All right? You will be burnt down too. Your house, your land, that will be burnt down also. All right? So now, go back to the part about your sons in marriage.
And take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that you may be increased there and not diminished.
So you may be increased and not diminished. Okay? Now, if I go into Ecclesiasticus chapter 7, there's a note about that. Believe it or not, there's so much counsel in the scriptures. It's amazing. First, Ecclesiasticus chapter 7, and if I read verse 24, it says, "Hast thou daughters? Have a care of their body, and show not thyself cheerful toward them." All right, your daughter is not your pal, your buddy, your friend, your girlfriend. She's your daughter, and you got to correct her when she gets out of order, and you commend her when she's doing things the right way. You don't put yourself on a level of camaraderie like, "Hey, let's go shopping, girl. We're gonna get our nails done, and we girlfriends." All right, you could be friends in a sense, but not in the level that people have deteriorated now, where the daughter can tell the mother, I don't want to do that. All right, it's not respectful. All right, so it says don't be cheerful toward them. Like, don't just be hee ha ha with your daughter. And there's a lot of counsel about this that we could go into that we're not going to go into now because it's off topic. But and so shalt thou have performed a weighty deed, a weighty matter. So you marry your daughter off to a man, but give her to a man of understanding. So it says give her to a man of understanding. So this is what the practices were in these times. You didn't just marry your daughter off to anybody, even though you were in captivity. You still wanted your daughter to have a man of understanding, even in captivity. And this is how Israel was able to flourish in our different captivities. Okay? And I'm tempted to go to verse 26, but I'm not going to go to Ecclesiasticus 7 and 26. I'm going to go back to Jeremiah. So Yahweh is telling you basically, get your family together. He's talking to 3 generations, telling the parents, have children, and then he's telling the parents to have children. Then he says for these children to have children also, so that you will be increased. So reproduction and having a good population is very important to the Most High, apparently. All right, go ahead. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 8. Go ahead.
For thus saith Yahweh of hosts,
Mm-hmm.
the Elohai of Yasharahla,
Mm-hmm.
let not your prophets and your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you.
Okay.
Neither hearken to your dreams which ye cause to be dreamed.
People saying you're not gonna go into captivity. Everything's gonna be okay. People were falsely prophesying. Everything's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. This captivity, Most High is gonna deliver us. Yahweh is not gonna deliver us from that Babylonian captivity when we've been wicked and disobedient against Him. And maybe if we were obedient to Him, we wouldn't have gone into captivity. But that wasn't the reality of how the situation developed. But right now, from there, I think that's gonna be where we leave off. Right there. All right. Jeremiah 29. Now let's go back into Kings. And we're gonna wrap it up in a few minutes, believe it or not. Shalom Lakah, Shalom Adriana. All praise to the Most High. We're in 2 Kings, right? 25. And you were in verse 12, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so we read that the king of Babylon took us into captivity. And he took the nobles, the rich people, the upper class people. He took them away and put them into captivity. All right?
But the captain of the guard.
Captain of the guard. Who's the captain of the guard? What's his name? Zayatan. Nebuzaradan. So this guy Nebuzaradan, all right, what did he do? Go ahead.
left of the poor of the land.
He left the people that weren't rich, the people that were poor. All right? The people at the bottom levels of society that didn't have a lot, didn't have a lot of property, didn't have a lot of land, didn't have a lot of resources. He left them in the land. Why?
To be vine dressers and husbandmen.
To be vine dressers and husbandmen. Right? Vine dressers are those that are dealing with agriculture and the food that's grown on vines and things like that. And the husbandmen are the ones that are dealing with, you know, the animals and stuff like that. All right, go ahead.
And the pillars of brass that were in the house of Yasharahla, and the bases and the brazen sea that was in the house of Yasharahla.
Go ahead.
Did the Chaldees break in pieces and carry the brass of them to Babylon? And the pots and the shovels and the snuffers and the spoons and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered took they away. And
Come on.
And the fire pans and the bowls.
The fire pans and the bowls. Go ahead.
And such things as were of gold.
Gold. Go ahead.
In gold.
In gold. Go ahead.
And of silver.
And of silver. Go ahead.
In silver, the captain of the guard took away.
Which is the thief Nebuzaradan. So he took all of the things from the temple. And this is the day that we mourn when this happened. And we're going to leave here. We're going to give you the background information first. Remember, the scripture says that he came into the city on the seventh day. It doesn't give you the date that everything got burnt down. He came into the city. He arrived on the scene on the seventh day of the month. Now, traditional Judaism, or not even traditional Judaism, but I guess Judaism, so to speak. But I remember, Judaism is a term that's applied to us also. You find it in the Greek. It's just a Greek term for the ways of the Jews. It's a valid term. All right. So Judaism is in the Greek with the ways of our fathers. When you look it up in the Greek, the religion of our fathers. When you look it up in the Greek, it tells you it tells you Judaism. It says like Udaismo, something like that. Iudaismo. All right. So nonetheless, he came into the city, Nebuzaradan, under the orders of Nebuchadnezzar, and he burnt all the poor people alone. He didn't bother them. He didn't put them in chains. They stayed there. And of course, they put representatives in the city to keep us in check. Invaders, occupants of our land. All right, go ahead. So he took all of the gold and the silver. Go ahead.
The two pillars, one sea, and the bases which Solomon had made for the house of Yasharahla.
So we just have everything that was at the temple of any value. Go ahead.
The brass of all these vessels was without weight.
Was without weight. And that's why these people were taken away and put into Babylon, into the captivity for 70 years. All right, or thereabouts. Right now, from there, what I want to do now is let's go into Jeremiah chapter 36. Now we're going to get into some timeline as we wrap it up. Jeremiah chapter 36, and let's read verse. Let's read Jeremiah chapter 36. Let's read verse 6.
Jeremiah chapter 36, verse 6.
So this is Jeremiah talking to Baruch, who has his own book also. Baruch was a scribe of Jeremiah. That means that the things that we read Jeremiah saying, he said this and he said that, Baruch was most likely the one that was scribing all of that information. All right, go ahead.
Therefore, go thou and read in the roll.
Read in the roll. Yahweh had told him instructions of what was going to happen, giving us a chance to repent. But he had came to Jeremiah beforehand and said, look, go to the people and tell them that they need to do X, Y, Z. And we snubbed our nose at Yahweh. We said, no, we're not going to obey you. I'm going to do what my man says to do. I'm going to do what my parents say to do. I'm going to do what my wife says to do, what my boss. I'm going to listen to the people that's put money in my pocket. And that's the same wicked, evil spirit that's on our people today. They do not want to obey nobody. What do people say? You ain't putting no money in my pocket. You ain't paying my bills. I pay my own bills. You can't tell me nothing. You know, that's a prostitute. If you give me money, I'll do what you say. That's a prostitute. Our people have become, that's why the Most High said we become as whores. But when we became as whores to the different nations and their gods, we gave money to them. We give money to the Catholic Church. Mighty. We give money to the mosques. We give money to the Islamic system. Right? They don't give us anything. The Most High said that a good harlot gets money from her lovers, but we have paid our lovers money to love us. And they don't love us. The nations and these different religions that we're following, they don't love us. But we respect and regard them much more than the low, poor, humble, obedient servants of the Most High. I continue.
Read in the roll which thou hast written from my mouth the words of Yahweh in the ears of the people in Yahweh's house upon the fasting day.
Upon the fasting day. Go ahead.
And also thou shalt read them in the ears of all Judah that come out of their cities. It may
So it's a specific fasting day. Continue.
It may be they will present their supplication before Yahweh, and will return every one from his evil way. For great is the anger of the fury, great is the anger and the fury that Yahweh hath pronounced against this people.
So the prayer and the supplication and the fasting, Jeremiah wanted the people to go into this mindset to get mercy from Yahweh. So let's move forward, fast forward, and go to chapter 52. And let's see exactly what happened. Let's go 16 chapters into the future, chapter 52. Right, and in chapter 52, what we want to start at is going to be, let's start at verse 11. Very sad note. We can't jump around. You got to go back and read it for yourself to get all these other. There's a lot of good parts that we need to understand, to learn from. But let's jump right into it in verse 12. Go ahead.
Now in the 5th month.
In the 5th month, which is called the month Av. Go ahead.
In the 10th day of the month.
In the 10th day of the month. Which day of the month? The 10th day, which is Asor. Asor. That's the day of the month. All right. So it's Asor Ba'av, which is the 10th of Av. The 10th of the month of Av. What happened?
Which was the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, captain of
Nebuzaradan,
the captain of the guard, which served the king of Babylon, into Jerusalem.
So he came into Jerusalem. That's when he came with his force. Came into his force. He came with his force into the city on the 10th, 3 days after he arrived. Go ahead.
And burned the house of Yahweh.
And this is the last date that we have. So on the 10th is when that fire was going. Go ahead.
And the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and all the houses of the great men burned he with fire. So
he came in on the 7th month, and on the 10th month, he started to do the wickedness. So he came on the 5th month. He came on the 7th month. He came on the 7th day of the 5th month. And then by the time the 10th day of the 5th month came, he was already getting busy in the city with his destructive plan that we brought upon ourselves for breaking the commandments of Yahweh. After Jeremiah gave us a chance, warned us, you better plead to the Most High. So the kings end up getting their sons killed, their eyes plucked out. All right? And you know that little septum ring that people put in their nose? The septum ring? The little ring people put in between the little part of their nose, between their nostrils? The kings put that into the kings that conquered us put that into our noses to pull us, like you do for a bull. You put that little ring into the nose of a bull, and you pull the bull so that he follows you. And if he pulls away, you yank at it. And the pain is enough to keep him in check. So that's what they did to us. And this is what our people have the nerve to try to make a fashion statement to wear it, imitating what they see the Gentiles doing. All right? So it was on the 10th day of the 5th month that he came into the city. Now, when we go into Josephus, all right, write, I think it's Josephus 6, chapter 6, or book 6, chapter 6, book 6, chapter 4, section 5 is when he talks about this thing happened on I think you're talking about the 10th of Av also, if I'm not mistaken. Or he may be talking about another day going to it. That he's talking about something else with the Xylophary, which is a Korban Etzim, which is another day that, should be commemorating on the 14th of Av also. This was more celebratory, the 14th of Av, right, which is the day that we brought the wood offerings, the wood to the temple to be burnt for the whole year. All right. Big festival, big celebration took place. That's the Korban Etzim, or the offering of the wood, which is on the 14th of Av. Okay. Now we see now that the invasion and the burning of the temple took place on Hosor B'Av, on the 10th of Av. Again, Josephus, book 6, chapter 4, section 5. He goes into that history. What verse you in?
Verse 13.
Okay, so read all of this in Kings again. All right, so that's that's showing us what happened with this day. All right, now we know that on so-called Sunday night, right? We started the first day of the month, right? So-called Sunday night, the first day of the month starts. So-called Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So-called Tuesday night is the beginning of the 10th day of the month, all right? On the 25th of July, all right? So July 25th, all right, is when this fast took place. It's called the fast of the 5th month in the scriptures. But when we dig into the history, we see exactly what they were fasting about. And this is the fast of the 5th month. Let's go into the book of Zechariah real quick. And we're going to finish up right there. Let's jump right into it. Let's go to Zechariah, chapter 8, verse 19, as we wrap it up. Zechariah, let me get it. Speedy Gonzalez. Zechariah, Speedy Garcia. All right, Zechariah chapter 8, right? And let's read verse 19. All right, go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 8, verse 19. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts.
This is what Yahweh of hosts is saying, which is the Most High Creator. All right, what is he saying?
The fast of the 4th month.
The fast of the 4th month, because we have a fast that takes place on the 4th month also. All right? The fast of the 5th, which is what we're reading about now. The fast of the 5th. All right? Hold up a second. Let's get a little more transmission clarity right here. Okay, the fast of the 5th month. Go ahead.
And the fast of the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And the fast of the 10th shall be to the house of Judah joy and gladness and cheerful feast. Therefore, love the truth and peace.
So what is Yahweh saying? Yahweh is saying that to Zechariah, all right? He's saying that, you know what? I see you all. You know, I see that you all are commemorating this destruction that I brought. And it's cool that you all are doing that. As a matter of fact, this is what we're gonna do. The sadness and the fasting that you're doing on this day, when you get back right with me, and when our relationship is like it was in the past, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make that same day that you're fasting, those days that you have as your special fasting days, I'm gonna change those fasts into days of gladness, of joy, of cheerful feasting. So Yahweh says that I see you all made these fasts, and I recognize what you're doing. And a day is coming when these days that you're fasting on in the 5th month, specifically we're talking about, is going to change to a time of joy and gladness and cheerfulness. Therefore, continue. I want you to make sure you love the truth and that you love peace. Right? And this is when we see the other that people are going to say, come, let us go up to the house of Yahweh. And you got to read the chapter to get the extended understanding of what's going on right there. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now, tomorrow we can go into some more things, but you may want to write down what's good to read during this time period. It's going to be Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 25 through 40. And we'll have a special broadcast on that day also. And it's good to read Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 13 through Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 23. So 8:13, 9:23. 8:13, then you jump up one chapter, then you jump up 10 verses. 8:13, 9:23. See how that works? 8:13, 9:23. All right. And then make sure you, like I said, you try to get up with that asking about, you know, what type of fast it would be on you, whether it be a full fast or, you know, liquid fast. Full fast is suggested because we are mourning, you know, a terrible, terrible destruction. But again, these things are things that were done in history, even to the point where Yahweh took notice of it, right? Yahweh took notice of it. So if Yahweh's taking notice of it, I think it's good to continue to do it. We just haven't been exposed to several of the things that Yasharahla was doing in the past. Right? But there are other days that we were using as our days to fast also. There's other days that we were celebrating. Like I said, the Zilofri or Korban Etzim, we were celebrating on the 14th of Av also, all right, which would be 4 days after, you know, when we would come up and bring that wood and stuff. And of course, if it was on the Shabbat and we didn't bring it, you know, we could bring it on the 6th day of the week or the 1st day of the week. We didn't bring it on the Shabbat. We'd be bringing a whole bunch of wood up to the temple on Shabbat. We can't carry those large loads like that on the Shabbat anyway. So we didn't do it on the Shabbat. All right. So just a quick overview again. 2 Kings 25 verse 8 talks about when the king first, when Nebuzaradan first came into arrived at Jerusalem. And in Jeremiah chapter 52 tells us that the temple was burnt down on the 10th day. Zechariah chapter 8 verse 19 makes mention of the fast that we did on the 5th month. All right, which fast is a reference to the fast that we had on the 10th day of the 5th month to mourn the destruction of the temple. All right, to mourn the destruction of the temple. And then in Jeremiah chapter 36, verse 6, right, the Most High spoke through Jeremiah to go to the people to give them a warning, and maybe Yahweh will change his mind. So Yahweh never changed his mind. So we end up going into captivity. All right, we end up getting punished for the wickedness that we did against him. And we can also read about it in Zechariah chapter Zechariah chapter 7, verse 8. All right. I'm sorry, Zechariah chapter 7, verse 5, when Yahweh said, speak unto all the people of the land and to the priests, saying, when you fasted and mourned in the 5th and 7th month, even those 70 years, did you at all fast unto me, even to me? And when you did eat and ye did drink, did not ye eat for yourselves and drink for yourselves? So Yahweh was saying, whether you were eating or fasting, you weren't doing it for me. So all the time in our captivity, Israel was fasting on them days. Zechariah points it out. And Yahweh says, when you did this, did you do it for me? So when we go into this fast, we have to do it for Yahweh. Okay? We have to do it for Yahweh. Again, it's in 2 nights, so-called Tuesday night, the night of the 25th, which is the 10th day of our 5th month. All right? So Yahweh saying, did you do these things for me? Or did you do it for yourself? For sure. To feel good about something. Or did you do it because you were really sorry? All right? Now, your body is the temple. Your body is the temple. So don't be destroying your temple. Mourn for yourself also. Get your own temple right. Get your own temple straight. All right? So, I think that's going to wrap it up again. And you can go into Josephus, book 6, chapter 4, section 5. It would be really nice if we had somebody that was writing this stuff down in the comment section. We got to appoint somebody to do that. All right. All right, so that's going to be it for now. Now, let's open up, any questions or any comments about anything that we went over now. Not under the whole heaven, but anything that we went over tonight that you want to ask a question about or you want to try to get more understanding about. Just go in the comment section, all right? Or, come on up. And what I'll do, I'll go ahead and invite everybody up so you'll at least get the invitation. If you want to come up, you can. And Daniela's already up there. All right. Anything to say or ask Daniela? Because you're already on the stage. I don't know if you want to say something or ask anything. Okay, let me actually, while we're waiting, everybody got the invitation, so I'm going to go ahead and try to get this link. Get this link about the 10th of Av, even though they say the 9th of Av, about the 10th of Av, and I'm gonna share it with everybody so you can, you can play it. You can play it for your family. You can play it for yourself. And you may go on there and find some more stuff. So I'm getting, put it in here right now. Put it in the comment section, then I'll pin it also. Now remember, when you look this information up, it's gonna say the 9th of Av. All right, but it's not. Remember though, it's not the 9th of Av. It's the 10th of Av, as we just read. All right. Just go ahead and share this inside. I'm gonna actually pin it into the room right here. All right, so copy that playlist. All right, copy the playlist called the 10th of Av. And fast how you can, but I think along with the fasting, incorporate a lot of repentance, incorporate a lot of praying, you know, because it's a very sad day. You know, in all this time, most, some, but most of our people don't even recognize, you know, this day. They got memorials for all of the tragedies that may have happened to us or our families over the years, but they don't have any memorials for the destruction of the house of Yahweh. But nay, we did. As you can see in Zechariah chapter 7, verse 5, we did. Even in our captivities, we were mourning. We were mourning for all of the destruction that happened, just the death, you know, destruction. If somebody is on medication, they can do a partial fast. Again, this is a fast that our fathers instituted, like Purim or like or like Hanukkah was instituted by our fathers. This fast was also instituted by our fathers. All right. So when we do this fast, it's on a voluntary level, but to be on the same mindset, we should have some type of fast that we're doing on that day. You know. Now, the more I look at society, I would think that a fast from just scrolling on social media is very appropriate for any type of fasting that we're doing. Because we waste a lot of time just on social media or just looking at stuff. You know, when's the last time somebody actually picked up a book and a notebook and a pencil or paper and actually wrote stuff down that they came across and learned? You see? But if somebody is on medication, on any fast situation, you know, this particular fast especially, yeah, you could take your medication. And again, it's not mandatory that you go into like a full-blown, complete fast. Right? Yahweh doesn't command us or tell us to do this. But we see that it was done by the leadership of our people. All right, both in captivity and when we came back from captivity, you know, we were still keeping it. It's followed us throughout history, right? And people were still writing about it, even going into the 1600s, that this is a fast and this is how you should keep the fast. And they try to develop protocols around how to do this fast and things like that. All right. I hope that answers your question, Adriana. Daniela said, I knew about this fast when I was translating the parasha the past year. You're talking about the parasha for Deuteronomy chapter 4? Is that the parasha you're talking about? Daniel? Is that the fast you're talking about? I assume that's the fast you're talking about. I mean, that's the parasha that you're talking about. Still there? Daniel? Devarim? Because we did, how many chapters? I remember how many chapters we did for Devarim. Okay. And when you did that, it talks about, it goes into the fast. Says, but yeah, we should go ahead and do the fast every year. A lot of people don't know about it, but we know about it. You know about it now. All right? Yeah, no problem. No problem. A la señora Vaca. Yeah, we have a question. We can answer the questions. That's what we're here for. All right? But we should, you know, and there's 3 other fasts. Remember, he mentions 4 fasts. All right. That the leadership, especially the 4 fasts that Israel did. The 17th of Tammuz, the 10th of Av, the 3rd of Tisha, and the 10th of Tevet. And we have the 5 minor feasts, Nicanor, Purim, Simon, Hanukkah, and Korban Etzim. All right, which most of our people don't know about these things. All right. All right, but that's these are the fasts that we have to be looking out for. And, you know, you can look up these fasts and learn about these fasts. You know, I'll go ahead and, but when you get these fasts, you can't just go off, okay, you did a fast on, for example, you did a fast on this day and this is how we did it. You can read that, but when you go into look up that actual information from the scriptures and see, you know, when did this stuff happen? And it wasn't on the 9th of Av. It was on the 10th of Av. So we fast on the 10th of Av. And we have four other, like I said, we have 4 fasts total. We have 3 more fasts that aren't included, you know, in this particular lesson. I'll put them all in the comment section, right? So you can copy and paste that. And you know, you can look it up. Let me put some commas in there so it's not too too confusing looking. Okay. All right. So you got different fasting periods that our people were engaging in. All right, everybody, I think that's going to be it for tonight. All right. And that's going to be it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm having some technical problems posting this stuff into here. So I got to put some unnecessary words in between the commas in the next phrase. Deleted, but it's telling me I already got it in there. Right, so I deleted, but it's not recognized that it's deleted. It's not letting me put in the new information. I can't get it in here, y'all. Maybe I'll take it out. Maybe I'll just put the numbers on there. That's what I'll do. 17th. Remember that 9th of Av? It's going to ensure that you look it up. All right? Just ensure it because I'm leaving it as the 9th of Av. So you have to look it up. So 17 Tammuz, 9 Av, all right. Okay, there it is. 17 Tammuz and 9 Oz, 3 Tisha and 10 Tevet. All right. Any questions or comments on this side? Or somebody got to ask a question. Now, fast, you got, ayuno. Desayuno, like breakfast, desayuno. You have different types of ayunos. Right, Mazacha? Different types of ayunos. So you got the ayuno from total food. You got a fast from total food. You have the fast from solid food, right? And you have the fast like sun up to sundown, like a full fast. What you could do probably maybe a liquid fast at night, and then in the morning time go into a full fast for the remaining, 12. We got about 14 hours of sunlight now, right? Sun's up about 6. It's going down about like 8. So you got about 14 hours of just no fasting. No food. Just praying and reading and studying, if you can. If you got to work, you want to drink something, that's cool. It's not a strict fast like Day of Atonement. Day of Atonement is a full cessation from all food and drinks. Total humility. No work at all. No jokes, no hee hee ha ha, nothing at all. It's a high Sabbath. All right, this fast, like I said, we probably broadcast on this fast. But now, on this fast, repent also. Do your tachanun. All right, if you don't have the tachanun, you can look it up. It's online. All right, you can look up the tachanun, Psalms 51, Tehillim 51, to ask Yahweh to forgive you for your sins and your family's sins. Because that's why we went into captivity, because we broke the commandments of the Most High. We broke the laws that Yahweh gave us, right? All right, so if there's no more questions or comments, we can go ahead and end. So we're ending this fast that we do regularly at the end of the new moon. Okay. All right, so Yahweh, we thank you for your knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. We thank you for your son, Yasharahla Masharah. We thank you for your Torah. We thank you for your mercy you've had upon us, even in our exile, even in our diaspora, even in our captivities, and even in our enslavement and our being spread to the four corners of the earth. You've allowed us to return back to you, to return back to your covenant, and to return back to a position of love between yourself and us. We ask you to continue to have mercy upon us and our families, our households, guide us in righteousness. Allow us to walk obediently before you and to make your heart glad toward us and not regretful. Please have mercy upon us continually and show us our shortcomings before we go too far so that we can repent and turn back to you and not be like a backsliding heifer. Have mercy upon us. Show us your face, show us your love and your grace with mercy and with the filtering that we need in order to get closer to you and to do what is pleasing in your sight. Protect our children and protect our travels, our going out and our coming in. Protect us from all hurt, harm, and danger. In the name of your son, Yasharahla Masharah, we ask you also that you protect the new life that you've allowed to come into the world, all right? On this seventh day, on this seventh day of the fifth month, we thank you for the new life that you've allowed to be born into the household of your sincere servant. We ask you to bless the baby, bless the mother, let the recovery and let the recuperation guide it with your love, your mercy, and your grace. These things we beg you in the name of your son, Yasharahla Masharah. Hallelujah. 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 Bashem Hamashak Yahushi, Tawari Hawatam Yad Aman. All right, everybody, that's going to be it. All right. So, Shalom, all right? Shalom Clubhouse, and Shalom to YouTube. All right, Shalom Lakam. Hallelujah. Adriana, be safe. Most High bless you and your family. Shalom, shalom.